welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is Jason Kmet, and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, and to you as well. It is Thanksgiving, and it throws a little bit of a kink into our usual scheduling plan for the podcast, but that's okay for a long weekend. Are you getting a chance to eat some turkey this weekend?
I definitely am. Yeah, we had Thanksgiving at my wife's mom's house on Saturday night, and then last night we were out in Balzac to visit her dad and stepmom and had Thanksgiving dinner there. And then tonight we're going to my aunt and uncle's to eat some turkey, and three Thanksgiving dinners in a row. We're pretty spoiled over here. How about you?
We have a couple Thanksgiving dinners, but, we're not doing turkey for either one of them. We ordered out for some chicken last night, and tonight we're doing Vietnamese. So I'm not going to get any turkey dinner this year, but I think it's still going to be okay. It's all about getting together with the family.
Absolutely. I definitely love this holiday and excited for it every year. But what is a little bit of a drawback for Thanksgiving is there's just not as much soccer to talk about, is there?
Not much, but we will talk about what happened this weekend. This is our weekend recap episode where we talk about the matches. We'll be talking about Cavalry versus Forge from Friday night, the Wild versus Halifax Tides on Saturday afternoon. We'll talk about the women's edition of the Crowchild Classic, which happened on Friday evening, and SAIT played Red Deer this weekend too. So I think we're going to hit all of those. Not as much to talk about as there is sometimes on these beginning of the week episodes, but we might as well just get at it then.
For sure. Let's kick things off with the Friday Night Lights match between Cavalry and Forge.
This is Marco Carducci, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Scott, Friday night, big matchup, Forge versus Cavalry. The match meant a lot to both teams in terms of the table. And I wasn't there. I know you were there, but I was definitely getting the vibes that it had a bit of energy in the stands and on the pitch. Is that somewhat accurate?
It is, yeah. It was really well-attended game. There's more fans there than I was expecting, considering it was a nighttime game and the weather has been dropping in Calgary, so it was going to be pretty chilly. Overall, I think it was a really exciting game. 1-1 is how it finished, so the teams shared the spoils. Cavalry struck first in the 25th minute, Sergio Camargo, with a tap-in following a Cavalry corner kick. But just a few minutes later, Forge earned a penalty kick, and Brian Wright made no mistake placing his shot top corner. Really set up for a great, exciting game from that point forward. But those were the only goals to speak of, and neither team was able to find a breakthrough in the second half. But a good advertisement for the quality of the CPL, for sure.
I had a couple questions for you about things that I heard when I was watching the match on TV. Like, would you say that, the first half was probably more intense overall, but did you feel that maybe it was a little bit over officiated in the first half?
I wasn't thinking that at the time. Now, granted, I'm watching these games through a camera lens for the most part. So sometimes I don't notice things that the average person watching does. But I have seen a couple of posts and things like that where people are expressing frustration with the officiating. But personally, I didn't really notice that there was a lot of stoppages in the first half.
I did feel like there were a fair amount of calls, but I don't think it was like unnecessarily so. But it did disrupt the flow of the game a bit, but I think that, they weren't letting a lot go. And the penalty that Levi Lang had, any thoughts about that? Like, you were there. I don't know how well you were able to see it because that was on the other side of the field where you were, I think.
Yeah, I always am shooting at the end of the pitch that Cavalry is attacking. So I didn't really get a good view of this foul at all, to be honest. I could make out the penalty, and it was a great strike from Brian Wright, but what caused the penalty I never actually saw, and I have to confess I didn't rewatch the highlights, so I still haven't really seen.
I didn't think you would have had a very good view of it. I just thought maybe you'd have a different perspective of it. I don't think it was like a bad call or anything like that. I just wanted to get your viewpoint on it. But be that as it may, it ended up a 1-1 draw, and one more notable thing that happened at this match, Scott, I think something that haven't seen in all these years happened for apparently the first time, as far as we know.
As far as I know, yeah, there was a pitch invader toward the end of the game. Someone ran onto the pitch and was running around. And I know when that happens, the TV broadcast usually doesn't show them because they don't want to give them any of the attention that they're craving. So I imagine that you watching on One Soccer wouldn't have seen this. But yeah, the guy was running around and he actually evaded a couple of security personnel before finally getting tackled near Marco Carducci's goal. So I can't imagine that guy will be allowed back at a Cavalry game anytime soon.
For sure. And just so you know, because I was watching it on, you could see him. Like, you didn't see the whole thing, but basically, didn't he pretty much run against the flow of play, and he ran right through the flow of play? And then that's when you could see him. I knew in advance because you had texted me that this was happening, and I was watching on a delay, but you could see him there right off the start. But then, yeah, we didn't see how it all ended up.
Yeah, he just got tackled, but he did get away from a couple of security guards before that happened. I think the security guards were probably caught off guard, to be honest, because, yeah, however many Cavalry games there have been at Spruce Meadows, this has not happened before. So I'm sure that they would have trained for it, but when it's actually happening and you got to kick into gear, I imagine it's a little bit tricky. And the pitch was very slick, I would say.
Yeah, but I can remember this so well. Like, it's like it was yesterday. When I was in university and I was, always going to Rough Rider games in Regina, there would be people that, especially during Labor Day and stuff like that, they would run onto the field. I can still remember this, like I said, like it was yesterday. Some idiot, some guy, probably my age, like university age, ran onto the field and attempted to climb up the goalpost. And then once he realized that that was not possible, he started running away. And there was one guy who chased him down. And that dude was a big dude. And I mean big, like big, like fat dude who was security. And this guy tried running up the goalpost, couldn't do it. So then he decided he was going to try and make his escape. And meanwhile, this big fat guy came, and I've never seen anything like it. This big fat guy just completely overtook him. Like, he just ran like a shot and like basically just like jumped on him. And then it was like crazy. And then basically another security guard had come at that point, and they basically picked him up off the turf and carried him off because this like probably 250 plus pound guy just basically just flattened him. I don't know if you could do that nowadays, but I still can't believe how all those years later, I still can't believe that guy like tracked that guy down on the field and just like completely. Anyway, I don't think I'm ever going to see a better pitch invasion story than that.
My best story is Jody and I went to that Canada versus Costa Rica game at Commonwealth a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is like not the Ice Teca game against Mexico, but like a few days before that. Still really cold, like -4 or something. And a shirtless.
I think I was at that game too, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool. A shirtless pitch invader got tackled into the boards behind the net, and it looked really painful, especially without a shirt on when it's that cold. But he just got he tried to jump, and then the guy tackled him as he was in the air. So he just went flying into the advertising boards. Looked painful.
Well, as a result of that match ending as a draw, everything is really pretty tight in the table going into the final weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Cavalry and York United both dropped 2 points this match day, whereas the Wanderers, they won their match against Valor. So right now there's 3 points separating third and fifth with one game left to play. So there's still a possibility that Cavalry could finish in fourth, but I don't believe due to the tiebreaker that they could finish in fifth anymore, although I might be wrong about that.
I thought that in the tiebreaker between York and Cavalry, York has it. So that could mean that theoretically they could still end up at fifth, right? Like, if Cavalry wins, it's over. Like, they got third place. Doesn't matter what else happens. And if they draw, they could end up no worse than fourth. But if they lose and York wins and Halifax wins, I think that actually would put them tied with York. And then with the tiebreaker, I think they would actually drop to fifth. So there is a few things would have to happen, but I think it's still theoretically possible they could end up in fifth.
So one more game to play for everybody in the regular season. Cavalry's last game will be against last placed Vancouver FC out in Langley. I believe York has to face Forge in their last game, which Forge will be very, they'll be trying as hard as they can in that game because they still haven't clinched first place yet, the CPL Shield. So, should make for a really interesting last match day of 2025 before the playoffs begin shortly afterward.
Hi, Hi, this is Grace Doherty, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Jason, the penultimate home game for the Calgary Wild was on Saturday afternoon. I was working that day, so didn't catch most of this one, but a great result, and it looked like a strong performance from the Wild, winning 3-1 thanks to a brace from Captain Maggie Doherty-Howard, and then what I believe is Grace Doherty's first goal as a professional.
Yeah, I believe that is true. And the Wild had a strong outing for sure. They played well, and I'm pretty happy that Grace Doherty was able to get her first pro goal. She's basically played the whole season. I think she started every match this season, and I think she's had a pretty good year overall when it comes right down to it. And it's nice to get that reward. She's had a few times where she's come pretty close, but yeah, good for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And a header at the back post that just managed to sneak in. Before that, Maggie Doherty-Howard had scored off of a good assist from, I believe it was Tegan Stewart. And then Maggie Doherty-Howard made it 3-0 with a, what was it, 3-1 with a penalty kick. And I don't know how many penalties the Calgary Wild have gotten this season, but it doesn't feel like they get them very often. Pretty good game overall, and a strong performance. I don't want to jinx their last game of the season, but I will say it's great that they were able to give fans another win before the end of the inaugural campaign.
You know, I noticed in this match, I looked at the lineup and they did a bit of experimenting in this lineup, which was kind of neat. And the one thing I liked is Tegan and Keelan Stewart both got to start this match. They've played this year very little together, like when it comes right down to it. Like they both have had minutes at various times, but they've rarely been on the pitch at the same time.
No, I believe they got maybe 15 or 20 minutes together. Previous game against Halifax at McMahon Stadium, that was the day that they both graduated from high school earlier in the afternoon. But since then, yeah, I couldn't tell you if they've been back on the pitch at the same time for more than, brief periods of a match every now and then. But yeah, kind of neat to see them both start in this one.
Mm-hmm. And Anderson Williams, a Calgarian who joined the team late, she got onto the pitch as a substitute later on, as I understand it.
Yeah, and this would have been her first professional game. And yeah, she was signed not that long ago, but it has felt like she's had to wait for her moment, for sure.
As you mentioned, Scott, the Wild's final match of the season is Thursday evening at McMahon Stadium, where they play, and they'll be playing the Vancouver Rise.
Hi, this is Aislinn Phillips, and this is the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So, Jason, let's segue over to talk about local university teams. The big matchup on the weekend in U Sports, it was the only matchup, actually, but Mount Royal University were taking on the University of Calgary Dinos at McMahon Stadium. This was the first women's Crowchild Classic since 2022 because of MRU playing in the Pacific Division the last 2 years. So lots of reason to hype this one up. Finished 1-0 for the Dinos, which I don't think is an unexpected outcome. Sophia DiGiacomo scoring the only goal of the game in the 54th minute.
I'm quite sure it was a hard-fought, close match, but yeah, the Dinos pulled out the 3 points, and they have first place clinched, and they have the one more match of the season, but it's kind of irrelevant for them at this point. They're going to finish at the top.
Yeah, but I imagine they'll want to win or at the very least draw that match. And then that would mean they finish the regular season unbeaten. At the moment, they have 11 wins and 2 draws. So no blemishes other than those 2 draws on their record. Incredibly strong season from the Dinos, who have spent most of it in the top 5 rankings nationally. For the Cougars, they remain in second place despite this loss. 9 wins, 3 defeats, and a draw. However, depending on how their last game of the season next weekend goes, they could drop to 3rd or even 4th place, depending on how other results shape up. But that game will be a repeat of this one, albeit at MRU's field.
That final match is on October 19th, and coming up quick.
So now I guess let's wrap up by talking about SAIT. They were in action this Thanksgiving weekend on Sunday with a pair of games against the Red Deer Kings and Queens. On the men's side, this was a pretty one-sided affair. Trojans won 4-0 with goals coming from Hani Hiabu, Ty Ritchie, Estrom Johannes, and Masataka Kajitani.
Good job on those, Scott. Thanks. You did a better job on them than I would. Yeah, and on the women's side, the Trojans won 3-1. Nikki Charlton got a brace. Isabel Vega got the third goal. So everything continues to go along very nicely for the women. And for the men, they have clinched a playoff spot, as we talked about. And it still looks like Medicine Hat is going to get first place. They're still undefeated at 8-0 and SAIT 7-1. So
firing on all cylinders as they tend to do. That's all the soccer we have to talk about this weekend. But next weekend should be another busy one for all the teams that we've been talking about for the last few months. But the end of the season is coming quick for pretty much everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. You can have this podcast downloaded to your device as soon as it becomes available by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other platforms. Check out our website at yycsoccer.com, where you can look through our episode archive and find other options to listen, including our YouTube channel. We also have links to buy Scott's book, Here Come the Cavalry. It's all about Calgary's pro soccer history. You can leave a question or comment in the Contact Us section of our website. You can also interact with us on social media such as Twitter, Instagram, or Blue Sky, where our username is YYC Soccer 403. Thanks for listening.